I'm going to turn our mics on.
Mayor Donches?
Just push
You're
it.
It may not work.
All right, so we're going to call the meeting of the Board of Public Works to order on January 30, 2020. Would you please call the roll?
Mayor Donches?
Here.
Commissioner Pappas?
Here.
Commissioner Moriarty?
Here.
Commissioner Tees?
Here.
Commissioner Shoneman?
Present.
Here.
Is there a motion regarding the agenda?
I'll move to approve the agenda as presented.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Is there a motion regarding the December minutes?
Move to approve the minutes of the Board of Public Works meeting of December 19, 2019.
Any comments, questions? Commissioner Pappas?
I'm wondering if we can put it off for the next month, because I had, I voted no, and I think I was down as abstained. And I think the mayor usually doesn't vote also, unless it's a tie.
What is the issue?
Oh, I'm sorry. The issue is for the bond.
Page 9.
Page 9. Well, I might have voted on that.
Like, I don't know.
No, it's on page
Why don't
10.
we look into that?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right, so that was, you're saying the vote to recommend the approval of the bond issue, right?
Yes, please,
I'm
thank
having
you.
trouble finding it right away, but, okay, so we'll check that out. So the motion then is to table the approval of the minutes of December 19th until the February meeting, correct?
Yes,
All those in
please.
favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Public comment. Is there any member of the public that would like to speak to the Board of Public Works? I don't see anyone. Next, aldermanic referrals. We have R 20-007.
I'll move to approve a positive recommendation for R20-007, changing the purpose of funds for Parks and Recreation Capital Improvement Project from Crown Hill Pool repairs to Rotary Pool filter replacement.
Mr. Caggiano, I think it's pretty evident what this is all about, but he will give an explanation.
Nick Caggiano, Park and Rec Superintendent. Good evening. When we were wrapping up the pools last fall and blowing things out, we had what I would call a catastrophic failure at the filter at Rotary Pool. The bottom legs rotted off and the filter actually shifted, so it has to be replaced. It was put in, and we're thinking about the early 60s is how long it's been there. Luckily, during our construction project for the Crown Hill pool improvements, we're able to come in under budget. So there's some money available in the Crown Hill improvements budget to assist with this repair, and we put forth legislation to move it from one bucket to another so we can utilize the funds, purchase the filter, and get it installed before pool season.
Commissioner Pappas.
So, just for the public, are these trust, they're kind of trust funds for each and every pool? And if something happens at Crown Hill, might we shift money elsewhere if something unintended happens?
No, they're not trust funds. It was a capital improvements
Okay.
project, so it's a capital account. And when you go to capital, they specify how you can spend the money. So we had to go to the capital meeting the beginning of January with our proposal, and then it gets referred to the Board of Aldermen to shift those funds.
So there's money left over
Right.
with respect to one project, but you need approval of the alderman to switch it to another purpose.
If I can further ask, just curious about, for the capital improvement, how much of a heads up did you have to have that you might need it for something like this? How far in advance, for example, if you're looking for stuff that you might need, How many,
I
is it a
understand.
number of years or months or before you have to hit up capital improvement for?
We, so every year, we put a capital improvement list together across the whole division, and it is prioritized and submitted to the Capital Improvements Committee, and they give it a rating, and then they send that rating to the mayor and the Board of Aldermen.
But if something comes up sort of out of that cycle, that project could be taken to capital improvements for a rating. I mean, most of the projects go pursuant to that schedule, but if something came up, oh, we should do this, you can bring it, you can just take it to the Capital Improvements
'Cause-
Committee out of cycle.
So I think I had this comment at our last budget meeting, more probably directed towards the mayor. I'm wondering if we might take a look and see if the capital improvements for the city might be underfunded. You know what I'm saying? If we know, if it had been since the 60s that this pool had had a filter, I think not having funds to fall back on, I mean, we wouldn't be able to deny the kids going to the pool in the summers. I think we might take a look at that.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we've got the issue of the R20-007 before us. Are there any other discussion or questions, comments? So the motion is to recommend final passage of this resolution. All those in favor of the motion say aye,
Aye.
and the motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Engineering.
Move to approve the residential and commercial wastewater service permits and fees as submitted.
Discussion? Commissioner Schoeneman.
I wanted to ask if I could, if someone could explain what the fees mean and why there are residential fees but not commercial fees, just for
Do what you want to
the
do.
newly initiated.
Dan, do you want to come?
Hi, Dan Hudson, City Engineer. So I'm still new here, I'm learning about some of this too, but the residential services actually, we're on the hook to repair those if they're damaged. There's a $600 fee. The commercial ones are the responsibility of the commercial entities.
Does that answer your question?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
So we have Alderman Cleaver. Are you the
Alternate.
alternate liaison? You can come sit up here if you want.
I'll stay right here.
All right. It's up to you, but you can ask questions or whatever you want. All right, so is that, did that get answered? Was that
Yeah. She
what
said
you were
yes.
looking for?
Yes.
So I believe the motion is to approve these permits and fees as submitted. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Item B.
I'll move to approve the following poll license petitions. PSNH number 21-1445, 21-1447, and 21-1448.
Discussion? All those in favor of the motion say,
Excuse me,
sorry,
Mayor,
Commissioner
Commissioner
Pappas?
Pappas.
We can handle it after if you want, but I wanted to ask about these polls. There's especially one that's on Tinker Road right past White Oak that they're very dangerously close to the road, and I know that I know that PSNH, well, not PSNH, but Eversource owns them, but it's kind of an accident waiting for a place to happen, so I wasn't sure if anyone had contacted them.
I have multiple times, and
Now, these are new polls, though, right? These are-
Right.
These are,
She-
That's
she knows
correct,
that.
but
She-
since
but
they're
she's just-
supposed to go through us, and, I mean, these polls are
Right.
really precariously close to the road. And I don't think it would take them a lot of money to change where to put them back a few feet.
could you ask them?
I have a couple of times, but I can make it another request.
Because you don't want to wait, I mean, if
I know.
anyone's ever taught someone how to drive, and you're a passenger with a new driver on driving down Tinker Road, near those telephone poles. It's quite
know.
precarious. All
I
right.
wish I had the power to force them to.
No, I
but
don't.
can-
I mean, I
continue-
almost feel
continue
like
to make the
voting no on their
request.
poll licenses, but,
So the director will contact contact Eversource again to try to take up that issue.
thank you.
But I don't think we voted on this motion yet.
No, we
Yes,
did not.
Commissioner Moriarty.
Just to add to that, Director Photo, there is a light on Riverside. Have you seen that one blinking? You might, if you're on the phone with them, you might as
Yep.
well inform them of that one.
Yep.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. We have the informational item, which is the sewer main repair in Barker Avenue, which I think, does anybody have any questions about that? Mr. Hudson is here. If not, you want to
Sure, I'll give you
go
a
ahead?
brief, brief presentation. So I just want to make the board aware, there's a sewer main on Barker that collapsed right at the intersection with Burke Street. Burke Street was recently paved in 2016, so it's under moratorium. We had to go out and make an emergency repair. So there's a temporary patch there, and we'll come back in the spring and make a permanent patch. This may be a more frequently occurring issue going forward, given that we're doing a lot of paving around the city, and we have some aging infrastructure. So I want to make you aware of this, and also make you aware that this is something that may happen, in the future.
Thank you very much. Parks and Recreation. Item A.
I'll move to approve a contract with Forcier Contracting and Building Services, Inc. of Nashua, New Hampshire for the building repairs at the Crown Hill Pool Bathhouse in the amount of $34,200. Funding will be through Department 177 Parks and Recreation Fund, Capital Activity, Crown Hill Pool Building.
Mr. Caggiano?
Good evening again, Nick Caggiano, Parks and Rec Department. If you remember, this was tabled due to some legal work that had to be worked out back in November, I think, at our November meeting. Those details have been worked out with the legal department, and an agreement's been reached, and we're good to go.
Commissioner Pappas?
So they've agreed no longer to park on the city way.
I didn't, I wasn't
Yes,
given
they
the
were-
signed document, but.
Yeah, so the agreement actually was, I believe it was economic development that, yes, it was. And we received a letter from the Forcier's attorney, Morgan Hollis, and he indicated they were going to restore everything back to the way it was, and they'll just have one space for where their loading dock is, so that they can use their loading dock.
And that'll just be during the day.
Yes, correct.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Commissioner Moriarty?
Superintendent, so the second quote was fairly close to the first quote, the second bidder. So were you inclined to go with the lowest bid, or did you think this was the best company to use for this project?
The company is local. They've done work for us in the past on many projects. They have a good record. So that's why we went with that.
Because of the issue that has come up with this company, that's why I was wondering, okay, now we're giving them a green light to do work for us after, it was a difficult time, and the second company is only another $600, so, or less than $600, so that's why I was just curious how you came to your decision.
Well, if you remember the last meeting that we had in November, we brought up the fact of going with the second bidder, and the recommendation that the board had was to table it until the legal department could work out an agreement. So I didn't relook at the quotes after our November meeting.
Nick, do you know the location of the second bidder, Solid Roots Construction, where they're from?
Yeah, Solid Roots is out of Manchester, and I believe Mark Carrier is out of Manchester as well.
Okay, so we do have Nashua preference ordinance that we're, so.
Right, I can't remember what that exactly, I mean, we have to go with that if they're from Nashua?
Well, I
would
think
s-
it expresses a preference, and it says, as I recall it, that the city on contracts less than 10,000 or up to 10,000 can pay up to 3% more just to get the local contractor. So I think it expresses a policy to go with local when possible, but in certain instances it says, you know, you actually don't have to go with a low bidder if the prices are pretty close. That's my memory of it.
Right, so it doesn't really
It doesn't,
affect this because they weren't over,
no,
they were the
No.
lowest bidder.
correct.
So we don't have to go with this company if this board doesn't want to. I'm just,
I think,
that's.
what? It expresses a preference. Now, whether, it's probably not a mandatory.
Yeah.
It's just a policy preference. I think I think the board, I don't know. We'd have to ask legal about kind of the issues regarding any problems created when you don't take the low bid, but I think you need to justify not taking the low bid. But that is, I presume, within the discretion of the board.
Thank you.
So the motion, though, the motion before us is to approve this bid, the low bidder, which is Forcier. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item B.
I'll move to approve the contract for portable toilet rentals with U.S. Site Services of Haverhill, Mass. for a 2-year term and an annual cost of $32,140. Funding will be through, funding for the contract will be through Department 177 Parks and Recreation Fund General Trust, account classifications 54 Property Services.
Discussion? Oh, well, Nick is going to tell us about this one.
This is Nick Caggiano, Park and Rec Superintendent. This is our annual contract for portable restrooms. We put out 32 throughout the city at various parks, and the contract was up. We went out to bid. We sent it out to 7 vendors, and this was the sole bid. The purchasing manager recommended that we move forward with awarding the contract to United Site Services, who we've used in the past and has had the past bids.
Discussion, questions? Commissioner Pappas?
2 questions. So it looks like you have the additional weekly service, but it looks like it's only available for the wheelchair accessible, or am I reading that incorrectly? Right.
I can't hear her.
She said it, her question was that the contract was only for wheelchair accessible?
It looks
Is
like
that- was that
additional
what
weekly
your question was,
service.
Commissioner
Are those, are those services available to, that they come and clean them out?
Yeah, so they'll be cleaned twice a week,
Okay.
and if you need an extra cleaning, you can call them for that. Let's say there was a major event somewhere. So
Okay.
the regular restrooms are $119 a month, and that includes twice a week cleaning. And then at 3 locations, we have an ADA units,
Okay.
Legacy Playground, Roby, and one other spot. And those are a little more because they're larger.
Okay,
They're
I'm sorry.
$169 a month.
The way I read it, I thought it was only the deluxe ones that got cleaned twice a week.
No.
Because,
Oh.
I don't know if the cleanings aren't as effective towards the end of the year, because I have had concerns placed, like especially where they do soccer, like a lot of people do soccer. And especially by the end of that season, I've had complaints that the restrooms get really kind of wonky. So I don't
You
know.
just let us know, and They're very responsive. We
But-
put a
but-
call in.
But they do clean them twice a year, even through when they take them away? They clean them twice a week?
At the end of the year? When they take them away, they're brought off
No,
site.
I understand,
Yeah.
but, for example, in the summer, obviously, I don't get a whole lot of complaints during the summer. It's more when it comes to the fall season during soccer. Are they still cleaning them towards the end of the season?
Yes.
Say fall, okay.
Yes.
Because that's when I tend to get the most complaints, is that I don't know if they taper off on their service when it comes towards the end of soccer
So
season.
if they're on site, they're still being cleaned twice a week.
Correct.
That never stops while they're on
Correct.
site.
Okay, so it might just be increased usage because of tournaments.
Could have been because of the tournament. Also, during the tournament, the soccer council brings in their own additional porta-johns. So
Oh, okay.
you'll see different ones out there. They're not necessarily all ours.
Gotcha, okay,
You'll see for races or
right.
parades, events, the permit holders may
So it might be
order
someone
their own.
else's that they're complaining about, not a city one.
They may not be.
Okay, all right, thanks.
But if you let me know or just call the office, we'll
Okay,
take care of it.
thanks.
Alderman O'Brien is here, the liaison from the Board of Aldermen. Welcome. This is Alderman O'Brien's first meeting. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I believe there is a motion pending to approve the contract for the portable toilet rentals.
Yes.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Wastewater, item A,
I'll move to approve the user warrants as presented.
discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item B,
I'll move to approve the change order number 4 to the energy recovery upgrade contract with Methuen Construction Company of Plastown, New Hampshire, in an amount not to exceed $49,167.26 for structural and electrical modifications to the Energy Recover room. Funding will be through Department 169 wastewater fund, wastewater activity, energy recovery upgrade project.
I think Mr. Keating is here to help explain this item.
Hi, Bill Keating, I'm the wastewater engineer for the wastewater department. So this change order came about as a result of some unexpected findings during the construction. And there's, the project is really to renovate the entire energy recovery facility because the existing facility was beyond repair and at the end of its life, so we upgraded everything. And it's always difficult upgrading an existing building with existing infrastructure with new stuff, so they encountered some unexpected findings during the construction, and that's what this is all. Everything on here is not originally realized during the design process.
Questions, discussion? Commissioner Pappas.
Maybe just a quick explanation for folks watching, what would happen if we don't keep up with this stuff?
We don't keep up with this?
Yes.
Well, it's pretty much set up to run. I mean, we're flaring methane gas right now, and we can't keep doing that. It's meant to be burned and are sent through a generator to run and produce electricity rather than flaring it. I mean, that's how the whole process was built, and it's beneficial to the city because we generate revenue from the generators, which offsets our electric costs, and it's a substantial amount of money over time.
I think things in this, in these systems are very expensive, and I think a lot of times folks don't understand if we don't keep up with them, that the consequences are much more dire than having to pay for them as we go along. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We now have administration, the first item being the approval of the 2020 regular meeting dates. Commissioner Moriarty.
Move to approve the proposed 2/20 regular meeting dates for the Board of Public Works.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We next have my appointments for, oh, excuse me, sorry. We next have the election of the vice chairman of the board. Are there nominations? Commissioner Moriarty?
I would move to nominate Commissioner Tease for that position.
Commissioner Tease is nominated. Any other nominations? If not, is there a motion that nominations be closed?
Move to close nominations.
All those in favor of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Is there a motion to cast one vote for Commissioner Tease as vice chair?
I'm sorry, I just wanted to make a comment during discussion.
Oh, well, that's fine, yes.
Okay.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I didn't know that you...
No, well, I didn't want to seem like I
You can speak to
was
this issue at
like I was-
whatever. So
just,
what we have now is the nomination of Commissioner Tease pending, and anyone can speak to that who wishes to. Commissioner Pappas.
so, as I had said 2 years ago, I think it's really valuable and important to rotate this, to give everyone a chance, like an equal opportunity for those who want it. I know I was able to do it once, and I think Commissioner Moriarty did it at least a couple of times, and Commissioner Ackerman did it last time. I think it's really important when, it's really hard to put yourself out there for election. And, I mean, obviously, nobody wants to do it when they're first elected to the board, but I don't know that I'll be here in 2 years or not. But I would hope that that it goes on a rotating basis to the next person in line who has put themselves out there for election. And, you know, as I said, I do support Commissioner Tease as vice chair, and hope that we continue in taking turns on that, because I think it's really important, and I think it's good for the board to get turnover in that.
Thank you. So is there a motion to cast one vote for Commissioner Tease?
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, if I can. I don't know if I'm supposed
Yeah,
to
you-
vote.
This is not grade school. You're allowed to vote for yourself.
I wasn't going to vote no, let's put it that way.
So Commissioner Tease will serve as vice chair. Now, there are my appointments for the two positions. My appointments, assuming they would accept, are Commissioner Pappas for the Strategic Planning Committee and Commissioner Moriarty for the Pension Board.
A strategic planning committee for this board?
So there is by ordinance, the city has a strategic planning committee, which is chaired by the chair of the Aldermanic Planning and Economic Development Committee. And by ordinance, various people, various positions are members. The chair of the Infrastructure Committee is a member. There are others, but the Board of Public Works has a representative on that committee. Now, the purpose of the committee, depending on what the chair wants to do with it, you can kind of address, discuss the city's direction and things like that. Doesn't always, it might meet it's up to the chair, so it depends. But it can meet several times during the course of a 2-year term. At night, based on the aldermanic schedule. So if Commissioner Pappas accepts that appointment, that would be the responsibility.
I think that I would respectfully decline. I would really rather be on the strategic planning for this board. I am not sure that I have the insight into the economic development for the city's long-term strategic planning. But thank you.
Well, you would represent sort of the viewpoint of the Public Works or whatever. How about, given your declining, what about Commissioner Shoneman?
I will.
Okay. All right, so the appointments are Commissioner Shoneman for the Strategic Planning Committee, Commissioner Moriarty for the BPW Pension Board.
Commissioner Moriarty
Oh,
accepted.
excuse me, who did I say? Who did I say? I don't know,
You
Commissioner
said
Moriarty.
Commissioner Moriarty, but
No.
I don't know that he's accepting.
Oh, is he-
I'd be happy to.
You will accept?
Yes, I would.
Alderman O'Brien's no longer involved, so they should be
You're-
easy meetings.
All right, so both members are willing to serve, thank you very much. So we have Commissioner Shoneman and Commissioner Moriarty. Next is the informational report from Director Photo. The director's report.
Okay, so the first slide, we've been doing a lot of bridge inspections. This is the Mine Falls Bridge. We had, many of you probably know, we had an issue with the Eaton Street pedestrian bridge, so that prompted us to look at all the others. So far, so good. The Eaton Street Bridge was really the only one that we had significant problems with, and we're in the process of repairing that bridge, but that may not get completed until spring. It needs new decking and also new fencing, so. This is some cammering that we're doing throughout the city. National Water Main is inspecting and giving us the assessment of the largest sewers in the city. This is sort of an interesting picture. You can see the brick. Can you imagine the work involved in building this? This is a 30 by 36-inch egg-shaped sewer, and it was constructed in 1869 in Main Street near City Hall. It's pretty interesting, isn't it? Here's another on
What's
Lakes.
the diameter of that?
It's 30 by 36.
So it's a big pipe.
It's a big pipe.
Is it still in good shape?
It looks like it's in decent shape. You know, I was thinking that. I don't have the, I don't know, it doesn't look like it was lined. Andy, do you know?
That one was lined, no.
No.
They just did that, they're in the process of inspecting all the sewers, so.
So I'm not sure. I could let you know next meeting what the plan is for it, but it looks like it's in pretty good shape if you look at the
Built to
brick.
last.
Amazing for, that long ago. This is another, actually, clay pipe on Lake Street, and it has cracks and a missing bottom and some misaligned joints. You can see on the right, that's the same location after lining, so. We're doing as much lining as we possibly can because it's far cheaper. This is turf installation at Roby Park. We've had nice weather, so they've been able to continue working. We've got about 80% of the turf installed. That's going to be a huge improvement to that playground. The Greeley Park boat ramp, you probably noticed all the work. We've logged 3 and quarter acres, and the street department now is removing stumps. We've been doing a lot of tree removal and trimming work this winter. Park and Rec traditionally does that. We try to catch up on all our orders. We're actually through most of them. This is, on the left is a tree removal on Gillis Street, and on the right is brush cutting at Kirkpatrick Park. This is, I don't know if any of you heard, but a gentleman by the name of Tony Ruiz from Lawrence, Mass, was killed filling potholes. He was randomly shot 3 times and killed. Very, very sad. But it was really heartwarming to see the amount. We had 300 Public Works trucks show up in a procession. Nashua was one of them to show our respect for Tony and his family. So
Not hit, but shot?
shot 3
And
times.
it was random, you're saying?
It was random. Yeah, well, he was filling potholes. Yeah, very sad. So, but this is a good example of how the Public Works community really comes together. This is some winter maintenance work that we're doing in our mechanics, replacing wing cable and a damaged plow frame on a plow truck. There's a lot of that goes on this time of year. We just took possession of our new cat loader. This will be assigned to Amherst Street during snow operations and will also, of course, work on construction projects. This is a new drainage area installed at the end of Mill Pond to allow water to make its way to Salmon Brook rather than ponding at the end of the street in front of residents' driveways. This is a head wall on Dublin Avenue that was replaced. It had failed and was in need of repair. We had an emergency, the city engineer spoke to this. We had an emergency sewer dig at the intersection of Burke and Barker Streets. We're doing a lot of valve replacement at the treatment plant. There's a tremendous amount of valves, and that's one of the secrets to keeping the plant operating properly, is to exercise those valves constantly. And we're removing valves, replacing them, and then we're rebuilding them. And so that is a cost-effective approach. We are very proud of our own Noelle Osborne. She was awarded let me get this right, the NUIA Operator Award. This is given to individuals who have shown a high interest in performance in the wastewater operations and made a significant contribution to the wastewater field. So congratulations
Great.
to Noelle. We were very proud of her. Our Christmas trees were all collected finally, January 6th through January 17th. We have new recycling guideline signs that have been installed in the recycling center, in case you haven't seen them. We want to remind residents, please do not place extra trash on top or beside your carts. Extra trash needs to be brought in to the Four Hills landfill with a permit, a valid permit. Our 2020 household hazardous waste collection schedule is now available online on the city website and can also be picked up at the solid waste department. So our first collection is April 18th, and that will be at the street department garage. The Four Hills landfill will be closed on Monday, February 17th in observance of President's Day, and all curbside collections will be delayed by one day that week. Any questions?
Commissioner Schoenman.
I have two questions. One of the items on the list in our packet was pavement degradation fees. What are those exactly?
Pavement, it was where? I'm sorry.
On the itemized list of your report, it says pavement degradation fees.
Oh, the department, you're talking about the department report, okay,
I'm sorry.
where was that? Okay, yes,
Yes,
so.
engineering department.
So, yeah, that's one of the things that we're working on, and Commissioner Pappas, you're well versed in that. So, that is actually, and it is something we'll be presenting to the board. We're not quite ready yet. Our new city engineer's looking at everything. But essentially, it will be a fee that will be charged to utilities for cutting into the streets, into the newly paved streets. So that's what that will be. So.
And the other thing was, what is the project that's going on, the building project at Charlotte Ave? I just haven't been in the loop.
Sure. So that is, and I don't have the plans with me, but that is a Safe Routes to School project that we applied for probably 8 years ago, maybe even longer, and we're finally getting the funding. So it's numerous improvements around Charlotte Ave, crosswalks, and I think there is some striping and other things. So just to make it safer for the kids that are walking to school. We just actually had a neighborhood meeting at Charlotte Ave School to present those plans to the PTO and families, because we were concerned that the families that wanted this in the first place have probably moved on because it's been so long. So, but I can send you the plans if you're interested in seeing all of the improvements that are going to happen.
Any other questions? Commissioner Tease.
Would it be appropriate to share with us any update with respect to building and so forth?
The DPW facility?
Yes.
Sure.
Sorry to be so generic.
No, that's fine. So we're in the very early stages. We have had a meeting with Harvey and HKT, and we talked a little bit about both the budget and schedule. And we have our first meeting with the committee, I believe, is that tomorrow? Tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow, and to discuss that and to go over the budget and the schedule. We also met with HKT, a number of us, Andy, Carolyn, and a few of us met to discuss programming and to look at, go over our needs again. We did a lot of that originally when we were looking at Berg Street, but now this is a little bit different. It's not all on one floor, it's 2 stories. So we've started that process as well. So, and we will certainly provide updates to the board as we go. But we are, tomorrow is sort of the kickoff meeting.
Good. Thank you.
All right, commissioners' comments. Do any of the commissioners have comments? Commissioner Moriarty.
Yes, Mayor and Director, I recently purchased my new residential permit at the landfill, and I thought we had voted to increase the fee there, but it was $5, and also they were still taking cash. I thought we also voted not to allow cash anymore. So if you can speak to that, I'd appreciate it.
Sure, absolutely. So there were 3 things that was the increase in the cost of C&D, the increase of the landfill permits, and all of that is, the legal is working on legislation right now, and that should be coming in very soon. So we're just waiting on legal to draft that legislation.
Because it needs Board of Alderman approval?
It needs Board of Alderman approval, correct? Yes.
If I may follow up on that, when would you have that target date of the start of the increase of the fee? Would it be the next calendar year in January, or start immediately upon passage of the legislation?
Yeah, I would say immediately.
Okay.
Yeah. Most of we won't generate much revenue, though, this year, because most of the permits have already been sold.
Right, that's what I was.
But, yeah.
But the construction and demolition fees would go up, and
Would
that's,
go up, yeah.
there's a lot of that coming in.
Yes.
Any other comments from the commissioners? Personnel, item A.
Move to approve and unseal the non-public minutes for personnel from the Board of Public Works meeting of December 19, 2019.
Discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. And I believe we have a non-public session scheduled.
Yes.
Is there a motion regarding that?
I move by roll call that the board go into non-public session pursuant to RSA 91-A3, 2B, the hiring of any person as a public employee.
And we need to do that by roll call, correct?
Yes, correct.
Could Diane please call the roll?
Mayor Donches?
Yes.
Commissioner Pappas?
Yes.
Commissioner Moriarty?
Yes.
Commissioner Tease?
Yes.
Commissioner Shoneman?
Yes.
So we voted to go into non-public session to discuss personnel issues, which I think means that our aldermanic liaisons, not that we don't want you around.
I think I completely understand.
I think I had to.